Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. You ain't gonna believe this, but the rapture doctrine is still out there, and people still believe the rapture is coming. It is coming. You know, I'm at the point where I believe when the Most High comes back for us, when he sends the angels for us, they're gonna swear up and down that's their rapture. And it won't be their rapture. He's coming for the remnant, and that remnant is us. And he's going to collect us. They're going to be very disappointed, especially the ones that are sitting up in these Christian churches and believing these pastors about the rapture doctrine and, oh, the Christians are going to be raised up in the sky. None of that mess ain't going to happen. And white Jesus, what he going to do, meet you in hell? Because he don't exist. And some of y'all don't even want to hear it. I remember I said that, this probably was maybe 10, 15 years ago. So I said, white Jesus ain't even real. Oh, it'd be a lot of people mad at you. Well, then get mad. I don't care. You're believing in a lie. And when you listen to these folks talk, and unfortunately, a lot of them are our folks, when you listen to these folks talk, they are lost. They are lost. Never mind the fact there's no rapture even in the Bible. You would think that fact alone would kind of send off a light bulb. It's not doing anything. So, hey, it's on them. You know, the Most High is only looking for his remnant. He ain't looking for the rest of these folks. So let me go ahead, and you got to hear how delusional many of them sound. Okay, y'all, please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
On everybody. Now, many people in the church, many people believe that we have so much time left. People believe that the rapture could be 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. Now, I'm not saying I know the day or the hour. I'm not saying I know the exact time of the rapture, but Paul said he doesn't have to write no more to us because we will see this day coming. Y'all, Jesus gave us clear signs, and I expressed these signs enough. Many of us come on here and express these signs enough, but what people are missing, they are missing the prophecy that has taken place in this war that is leading up to the rapture, that is leading up to God's intervention. And if you are paying attention, if you are on watch, you wouldn't think that the rapture will happen in 5 years. You wouldn't say that the rapture will happen in 10 years. It shows you're not on watch. It shows that you aren't studying your scriptures. Now, all the signs are converging together for the first time in history, okay? And a lot of people let this go over their head. The fact that Jesus said, the generation that sees Israel become a nation will be the generation to see my return. Y'all, a generation is 80 years. Israel became a nation in 1948. So the people, by default, the people who claimed that Jesus was coming back, that the rapture was going to happen before 1948, well, we're wrong, simply because Israel wasn't a nation yet. It was a time clock as soon as Israel became a nation. That's when NASA started to enforce things. That's when technology started to rise. That's when a lot of propaganda started to be pushed because Satan knows that his time was short. As soon as Israel became a nation, that was the timestamp that God was returning. That was the start of the clock, y'all. So with that being said, we are the generation to see it. Stop looking 30 years from now, 20 years from now. That shows you don't study your scriptures. If Jesus says the nation or the generation that sees Israel become a nation is the generation that will see my return, y'all, it has been 78 years. That means we're the generation. We're coming at the end of a generation. I'm going to catch you up on prophecy that is pointing that God is about to intervene. And we understand when God intervenes, it's going to be a simultaneous event. When we are taken away, that's when destruction and chaos is going to hit this earth, y'all. That's when this earth is going to be judged with fire. And God gives us a clear depiction on what to look out for. Y'all, what is taking place in this war is significant. This is the war spoken about in the scriptures. God gave us clear signs, and he said when Israel is surrounded by its enemies, that is when he's going to intervene. That's when God is going to intervene and bring judgment upon the world. So right now, in this given moment, Israel is surrounded by its enemies, okay? And the U.S. just got involved with this war again, and they are attacking Iran as I speak. Now listen to me. The news outlets are lying to you. Trump is lying to you. There is no peace. And he is lying to you about our oil, that we're producing our own oil, that we are good on oil. Y'all, we are about to run out of oil.
There'll be a rapture in 2026. And my answer is yes. It's what I've been saying since 2021. I counted the Jubilee cycle of 50 years, and you see it led me back exactly to what I believe the fall of Adam was, about 30 years after the creation. So you go from 4004, which is one of the main accepted or established times for creation, and you can count forward the 30 years. Then you can see the 120 Jubilees ending right here in our time period of 2026. Cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month in the Day of Atonement. And further, hallow the 50th year and proclaim liberty. So this struck me as a fairly accurate rendition of the timeline from creation to our present age here in 2025 going into 2026, with specific emphasis on the 120 Jubilees or 6,000 year time of man based on Genesis 6:3. So for the year 691, it is inscribed on the Dome of the Rock based on the Islamic calendar, that very year for completion. If you count 1335 years, also leads you to 2026. And just to state between 1975 and 2026, when someone becomes 51 years and 1 day old, they are considered in their 52nd year. We are very near the return of the Lord. I believe in 2027. I believe there'll be some sort of rapture event in 2026. And there still could be a resurrection event here in 2025. Shalom and blessings, friends and family.
Oh, man.
Hi, people. Maybe some of you are experiencing what they are calling rapture fatigue. Did you know that the Bible tells us that David knew that the people of Israel would be freed one day? He didn't know the day. He didn't know the hour. But he studied the prophecy of Jeremiah. And he came to the conclusion at his very old age that that time was at hand. So how did David live his life? If you read the book of Daniel, as we are studying it, but if you read the book of Daniel, you will see that in chapter 6, after people try to find something wrong with him, something that he did that would condemn him to death, they couldn't find one thing. Everything about Daniel was right. And the very first reason why everything about Daniel was right is because he was a faithful man and a man of prayer. He prayed 3 times a day, facing Jerusalem and praying to God for himself and for his people. You see, the prophecy was there in Jeremiah. 70 years and the people of Israel will be free. But nobody knew the day. Nobody knew the hour. Today, we face a very similar situation. The promise has been given that Jesus Christ will come for his church, but no one knows the day. No one knows the hour. What should we do? Live like Daniel, faithfully, a prayerful life. May nobody find anything wrong with your life. no sins, no mistakes. And what I mean by that is nothing that you have done willingly, knowing that it was wrong. Because we are all sinners. We all need Jesus Christ.
When the rapture of the church happens, and I do believe it's going to be soon, and sadly, if you get left behind, here's what you need to do. Grab a Bible, grab your family, and you're going to hunker down temporarily in your home. Then you're going to gather all of your resources, and hopefully you've been saving something for an emergency, water, some non-perishable food, and hopefully something to protect yourself, because you're not going to be able to trust anyone outside of you and yours. You've seen how these movies go. It's a perfect depiction of how humanity reacts when under stress or in emergency situations. It's every person for themselves. Now, next, what you're going to do, prayerfully that you're listening, is you're going to gather your family and your closest friends, people that you can actually trust. And together, you're going to sit down and you're going to read and study that book from cover to cover. Now, I also put together a list of verses, specific verses that you should study and memorize regarding the exact situation of the time that you're now in, the Great Tribulation. Now, in Revelation chapter 12, verse number 1, and there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. The woman is Israel. The 12 stars are the 12 tribes of Israel. And she, being with child, travailed in birth and pained to be delivered. The one that Israel delivers is Jesus the Messiah. And notice in verse number 6, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. This is 1,260 days. 1 score is 20, 3 score is 60, 1260, 3.5 years. Now, the place in the wilderness, a literal place where God is going to protect Israel for 3.5 years, the second half of the 7 years, is going to be most likely in Petra. And that's where eventually you need to get to. And why Petra? Because it's a very unique geographical location that has wide open wilderness and then randomly a bunch of canyons surrounded by tall mountains and cliffs. And it makes it very difficult to access inside those canyons because of these mountains and cliffs. And you can hide potentially a lot or protect a lot of people inside those canyons. And keep in mind that this prophecy in Revelation 12 of Israel being protected, we're talking about true ancient Hebrew Israelites, the covenant that God is going to honor with them in Romans 11 that must only be received by way of repentance. Because remember, the abomination of desolation, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, this is when the AC, the man of sin, will stand or sit in the rebuilt third temple, Daniel 9:27, and declare himself as God. And this man is going to be empowered by the dragon according to Revelation 13. Because what's going to happen according to scripture in Daniel chapter 9 is that the moment the AC, the man of sin, breaks the covenant, the sacrifice of sins.
Video real quick, and just to fill you guys in on what I'm watching for and why. So I know that we're all pretty much watching for the World Cup to be cut short, for it not to finish, for there to be no World Cup awarded. But here's why I'm really watching that. The prophecy was two separate prophecies. No World Cup 2026, it'll be cut short. And on the Hebrew Feast of Trumpets, the new civil year on Gregorian 9/23/2025 would be the Exodus. So this word, the Exodus on Feast of Trumpets, has been fulfilled. God has spoken on that one, and we know that we are in an Exodus right now. Now we're waiting for this prophecy to be fulfilled. And just to fill you in, I asked the Lord January, when will it actually end? And I heard 9/23. And then a month later, I was given the understanding to count that from the Feast of Trumpets, new year, new civil year. And so I did that with the Hebrew calendar. 9 months, 23 days on the Hebrew calendar came to 3 days before the World Cup began, around June 9th. And if I do that with the Gregorian calendar, count 9 months and 23 days, then it lands 3 days before the World Cup ends. And so that's the window I think we're all watching right now. That's pretty much where we're sitting at. And that's why I'm looking at that. I know I heard 9:23 from Jesus. And I'm excited for it. And I hope you guys are all excited. We know we're in the Exodus. We know he's coming. We see the signs in the world. He's given us so many more signs than we ever thought we would see. It's amazing. God is so good. I know that you all are weary. Jesus told the church of Philadelphia in Revelation 3, he knows that you have little strength. And he also said right before that he has set before you an open door. And he is the door, and he is the way to get through the door. He paid for us to be able to get through that door by his blood. And what's on the other side of the door is his presence. And I just want to remind you guys that that is what you have access to right now. Whatever's past this rapture is him. It's his presence. That's what we're all looking forward to. And that's what we have access to right now. So if we have little strength, we have access to the source of strength. We have access to the very source of peace and love and joy inside of us. He placed his presence inside of us, and we can boldly approach the throne, his presence, because of his precious blood. And so we don't have to cry out to God in heaven to, Lord, please give us strength. Please give us peace. Please give us joy, strength to carry on. We just need to actually literally go to his presence, what's through that door, with our soul, with our thoughts, our intentions, our emotions, to the place where our spirit already is. And he is always there, always waiting for us, and always freely gives those things to us. The scripture says that you keep him in perfect peace because his mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. And Jesus said, come to me.
What's going on, everybody?
You know, every time I listen to these people, I'm so glad I got away from Christianity. I am so grateful the Most High woke me up to tell me who I really, truly am, because I would never have learned that sitting up in these churches. When I was in the church, they were still calling us Gentiles, you know? But everything they would preach about the Hebrews sound like us. Everything they would preach about Gentiles didn't sound like us at all. It was weird, but you know, I picked up on that even as a child. But all praises to the Most High. Yeah, they think the World Cup has something to do with the time of rapture. Yeah, they really, truly believe that. I would say, number one, y'all are just foolish people with no discernment, no insight, no nothing. How are you going to be wrong about a rapture all through 2024, even further back? You can even find videos back in 2020 and 2021, and they were doing all these date predictions even back then. But how can you be wrong this many times and still believe in it? Y'all have had ample time to realize something is wrong. Maybe this rapture thing is not right. No, the same people will keep coming on and giving you different dates, and they just don't miss a beat. They just keep right on going with it. So, no, I could, at this point, I don't see how anybody can trust a word of what comes out of a Christian's mouth at this point. So, y'all, let me tell you something. Stay prayed up with the Most High. He will come back and do exactly what he's told us. He told us about wars and rumors of wars, and look at what's going on. In fact, I was looking at this morning, Iran hit the USS Abraham Lincoln. They had a bunch of boats with guns, and they went and attacked the USS Abraham Lincoln. Don't know what the damage is, because you know how it is when you gotta listen to mainstream media, you always get half truths, half lies, part of the story, but not the whole story. You know how they tell the news up in here. But it was definitely hit. And I believe it was hit multiple times out there in the Persian Gulf. The only thing is, I pray for our young people from our community that are on there. I hope they are safe. But it is a full scale war, y'all. It is a full scale war. And it was also articles out there how the Straits of Hormuz still remains closed. So, at this point, the world oil supply is going to collapse because it has just been way too long. A lot of countries are still reports on them running out of gas. And it was like it, like that here. And it's going to go back to being that. So, y'all, probably in the next coming weeks, there'll be gas stations without a fuel signs, just like before. So there's no end in sight. I don't believe there's going to be any kind of peace deal and the war just completely stop. I don't believe that. I think this is going to go on and on. They have tried multiple times to do ceasefires, and either Donald Trump keeps bombing or something happens and Iran bombs. It just, there's no end. But hey, I went out and I looked at some of the Lego videos. Boy, they've been keeping up with everything. There's even one on the reflecting pool and Donald Trump's poor turnout for the America 250 year anniversary. They even did Lego videos on that. So they are definitely keeping up for real. So y'all be careful out there and keep the Most High near and dear to you. I will see you at 1:45. We're going to be talking about my birthplace, the city of Philadelphia. They have been underwater 3 times in 1 week. Can you imagine that? Your neighborhood drains after a flood, and then you get flooded again, and then it drains, and you get flooded a 3rd time in 1 week. That is what has happened. And y'all, this is the neighborhood that was around where I live. So it's mostly North and West Philadelphia that got hit the worst, but it was literally all over the city that got put underwater 3 times. Now that is a pure sign of judgment. The city of Philadelphia is where I grew up, but y'all, that place is wicked as hell. It's wicked. And nobody gets flooded that many times unless you're under some serious judgment. For real. So I will see you then. And don't forget to pick up your hair products. Shalom, family.